carried out enforcement operations, and they point out that the Compliance and Enforcement Unit at Workforce Opportunities and Residency Cayman, known by the acronym WORC, carried out a series of immigration status inspections at multiple construction and landscaping sites in West Bay, Georgetown, and Bordentown. The operations took place between the 9th and the 12th of July and was the result of tips received of illegal employment activities in these industries. On the 24th of July, Work Compliance Team also carried out a joint operation with the support of the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service and Customs and Border Control at a construction site on the Linford-Pearson Highway in Georgetown. During these collective operations, a total of 30 sites were investigated, 20 construction sites and 10 landscaping services sites. Approximately 200 persons were interviewed, leading to 16 persons being arrested, 11 for working outside the terms of their permits, 4 for working without permits, and 1 for overstaying. The inspections also discovered 2 persons with permanent residency status working outside the occupational positions approved. For the investigations into the employers of these persons are actively being progressed, which may result in administrative fines leveled against the employer. Work Deputy Director Mervyn Manderson is quoted as saying, "I'm extremely proud of the compliance officers who carried out these operations, and I thank the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service and Customs and Border Control for their invaluable support. Businesses and employers are reminded of the importance of being compliant with the Immigration Transitions Act by not allowing employees to work without a permit or outside the terms for which they were approved. Doing so may result in administrative fines, revocation of the permit, and or an appearance in court for prosecution." He goes on to say that I would like to ensure the public that these random operations will continue in the future. The Director of Work, Mr. Jeremy Scott, is quoted as saying, "On behalf of Work, I would like to extend our deepest gratitude to the enforcement officers who recently completed the compliance operations. Your commitment to performing these duties safely and diligently is commendable. These operations were essential to ensure that all employers adhere to the law, maintaining a fair and just workplace for all." And then they point out that Work continues to investigate information received, and persons who want to provide Work with information may do so anonymously by completing an online form under the Completes tab, or you can email WORC complaints@gov.ky as well. Folks, we've reached that juncture in our broadcast where we have to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
The Cayman Islands has a rich history of recognizing sports and recreation as an important element in the social and economic development of these islands. In 1935, Governor Cornwall organized the first regatta for catboats and schooners, both as a social event and as a means of encouraging tourists visiting Jamaica to come to the Cayman Islands. By 1947, it was recommended that every school should have a sports day, followed by the first inter-school sports day held in 1949. By 1976, the Cayman sailing team was in the Olympics, followed by the island's participation in CARIFTA, Central America and Caribbean Games, Pan American Games, the Commonwealth Games, Island Games, World Championships in athletics, and World Cup qualifiers in football.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone, and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
July is Laundry Month at Brand Source Home Gallery. Get ready to save big with 15% off on all washers and dryers, both domestic and commercial, and 30% off on selected laundry items.
Is your washer or dryer on its last spin? Now's the time to upgrade. From GE, LG, Samsung, Beko, Electrolux to Frigidaire, save up to 30% on laundry appliances during the month of July.
Visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park or call 623-5000.
Check out BrandSourceCayman.com for more deals. Voted Best Appliance Store of 2023.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
This is For the Record.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio yet, but after the 8 o'clock news, we will have the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, and his Deputy and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh, in the studio with us as well this morning, and they will basically be discussing, amongst other things, the recent proceedings in our Parliament. They will be talking about the Regen project as well. And I'm sure that the phone lines will be open at some point in time after they introduce all of the things that they have want to talk about. And once their opening remarks are completed, we will give you the nod. We will let you know when the phone lines are open if you want to call in. Meanwhile, if you have any questions or comments, please send them in advance. That helps to ensure that your questions are asked and responded to as well. So we have two callers? A WhatsApp caller. Let's grab the WhatsApp caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, man. Hanging in. Oh,
good.
O.C., this been on my mind for quite a while now. You know, we were all up in age, and the Caymanians are going, the old folks are going quickly by every day. You hear somebody else gone, and my condolences go to Mr. J.D. Martin, his wife, Miss June. You know, he passed away a few days ago, so my condolences to her. We're very good friends. The old Caymanians are going. Also, what I'm concerned about, I'm noticing that the younger Caymanian children are not being taught any of the old folk traditions, like peppermint candy making, a yam cake, a cassava cake, making thatch, rope hats, and stuff like that. Even the cat boats, which I used to build a lot of cat boats in my time. I used to work with Mr. Jefford Walton, an old gentleman from Canberra called Old Tom. And me and, God bless his soul, Jesse Arch, we used to make cat boats. And Mr. Kim Jackson, hope he's doing well. He knows that I can build it. I spoke with Mr. Jeremy Miller on Radio Cayman Show, you know. We need to pass on all of these things to the younger Caymanians, that our Cayman Island tradition, you know, don't go. And I'm noticing there is no young Caymanian that can put a cat boat together. They don't know what kind of wood to go and get and stuff like that. No peppermint candies. No, even making local ice cream. I guess they got a few that can do that. But all like making yam cakes and cassava cakes and stuff like that, what the Caymanian women is used to. You know, I don't see none of that being passed on. There's no trade to teach none of the children.
So where do you expect to see it? Because sometimes we say these things are not taught in school, but we're not in school. We don't know what the curriculum is in the schools. We have all of these clubs that young children participate in. We don't know what is going on there. So we can't make a general statement in relation to it. We can only know what is taking place in our little sphere, but not, outside of that, unless, we're in that space as well. You understand what I'm saying?
I don't hear nothing about it. And I don't see none of the younger Caymanian children, men or women, doing, in my time, my grandmother, as you know who she was, she even taught me how to take the old pieces of cloth, different colors, and sew a bedspread, all of that. I used to know how to do, but I don't, like you say, I know in the school, but what I'm saying, I don't hear nothing about it. Year after year, I don't hear nothing, and I don't see nothing being advertised. Well, we got a weekend where these children gonna do this or do that. So I don't know it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Got you. We're going to try. We have one more caller. We're going to try to take that caller before 8 o'clock. But your points are well taken. Thank you. Thank you very much, caller. Next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Osei.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thanks. I got a comment on what I heard you say before that. Our Parliament gone to the House to put a law in place to reduce the speed.
Yeah, they accepted a private member's motion to that effect to look at the speed limits to reducing them.
Well, that's not the problem. Can you tell me how much people get killed doing 40 miles an hour or 50, and they're going to be looking to reduce it? They should be looking to increase the fines and take away the license. Right now, we have people on the road that holding up traffic doing 30 miles an hour, and you have a mile behind them. They need to enforce it on them too, obstructing traffic.
They present a hazard as well, yeah, at times.
It's not going to improve, not set back. We have enough traffic problem now, and if they reduce it from 40 and 50, oh God, it's going to be successful, Cayman Island.
But caller, do you believe, when you look at the stretches of roads that we have in Cayman, do you believe that our roads are really designed for 40 and 50 mile an hour speeds?
Yes, sir.
And
like I said some months ago, that the problem with our roads, they're not using the right equipment on it, especially the rollers. They're using rollers lighter than the dump truck. They make good roads, but after a couple of months that the dump truck run on it, that is heavier than the roller that press it down. Before it gets cured, they're on it and they think that that's a problem. But they need to look at and say, well, 50 miles an hour, we had so many deaths in this area. Then they could say, we reduce it, but it's nobody getting killed doing 50 miles an hour. They need to look at other things that are hindering us here on this island, right? Can go and make law for feeding chicken. Yet, I come in now and work 3:30, 4 minutes before every morning. Nearly, I see NRA out there with the vacuum in the road. Going up in the evening, I see the landscapers blowing the shit out in the road. That's where they need to make laws, to improve, not to just hinder us and stress us out more.
Okay. Caller, thank you very much. We have to go to our 8 o'clock news. It is 26 seconds, 8 o'clock and 30 seconds. Top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Price Right is 8 o'clock.
Happiness is finding quality products at great prices.
Just like the feeling of discovering the perfect outdoor furniture for your patio, or upgrading to the latest smart TV.
Or when you find that special something that you never knew you needed.
Exactly. Well, Happiness has a new home where you can find everything from bulk groceries, fresh fruit and veg, and small kitchen appliances to electronics, toys, garden supplies, and more. It's time to shop happy at Priced Right.
Discover our new look at pricedright.ky.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. The Ministry of Education and the Department of Education Services confirms that following an investigation by the MASH unit in conjunction with police relating to an alleged incident in May 2021 at Red Bay Primary School, the investigation, quote, concluded that there were no findings of misconduct against Dr. Vicky Frederick in relation to any student and that no further action is recommended. As Dr. Frederick prepares to embark on a, quote, new journey after over 3 decades in the public education system, the ministry and DES say they are wishing Dr. Frederick, quote, all the best for her future endeavors. The DES and ministry are also asking all staff, parents, and the public to refrain from making, quote, mention of the alleged incident to Dr. Vicky Frederick and to respect her and her family's privacy during this time. Discussions with local financial institutions are underway, and the Housing Ministry aims to reintroduce the government-guaranteed home assistance mortgage program by the end of the year. The Honourable J.E. Banks made the announcement in Parliament after fielding a question from Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Roy McTaggart.
Can the Honourable Minister say what progress has been made to advance the housing initiatives referenced in the private members' motions on incentivising the private sector to build affordable homes and on reintroducing the Government Guaranteed Home Assistance Mortgage Programme, or GGHAM, which was passed by Parliament in September 2023.
Mr. Ebanks told MPs his ministry is currently developing a public affordable housing policy and a 10-year strategic plan that will tackle issues such as how to incentivize the private sector to build affordable homes. He says the policy and plan are expected to be completed before the end of the year.
I am pleased to inform the Honourable House that Cabinet has approved a new modernisation government mortgage guarantee programme, and this programme features the update criteria that are in line with the current housing market, as it is extremely difficult and I dare say impossible for Caymanians to purchase a home at below our $200,000 mark, which was the maximum purchase price of property under the GGHAM programme.
More than 100 ex-cons have their criminal records expunged in 2021 and 2022. Acting as deputy governor during the most recent meeting of Parliament, Gloria McField-Nixon pointed out that with every expunged record, citizens are given an opportunity at a fresh start.
It is therefore rewarding to know that between 2021 and 2022, 114 individuals, having served their sentence and remained crime-free for the required period, have had their criminal records expunged.
The Criminal Record Spent Convictions Act is designed to limit the effect of certain convictions on someone after they serve their sentence, provided they stay on the right side of the law. In 2021 and 22, the expungement board processed 153 applications, deeming 75% eligible and approved.
The remaining 39 applications were deemed ineligible for expungement, as they did not meet the required crime-free period as stipulated in the Act.
The law outlines that some records can never be expunged, covering convictions for things like treason, murder, and child pornography. Once a conviction is expunged, it will be as though that person had never been charged, convicted, or sentenced for the offense. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which takes us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
BBC News with Debbie Russ. Hamas says the killing of its political leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran will not go unanswered. Hamas accused Israel of carrying out the attack, which occurred on Wednesday morning, just hours after Mr. Haniyeh attended the inauguration of the new Iranian president. There's been no official comment from Israel yet. Antony Blinken says Washington was not aware of or involved in the killing of Ismail Haniyeh. The US Secretary of State said he couldn't say what the incident meant, but stressed what he called the imperative of getting a ceasefire in Gaza. But Qatar's Prime Minister has said Mr. Haniyeh's death could jeopardize the talks. The Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda have agreed to a ceasefire to end violence in eastern Congo. The Congolese government has accused Rwanda of supporting the M23 rebel group, which controls large areas in the region. Rwanda has denied these accusations. The trial of Guinea's former military ruler Moussa Dadis Camara and 11 others is taking place in the capital, Conakry. They're being charged in connection with their alleged role in the deaths of more than 150 protesters during an opposition rally in 2009. The head of the Sudanese army has survived an assassination attempt. General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan was attending a graduation ceremony at an army base in eastern Sudan when it was struck by a drone. Germany has summoned the Chinese ambassador over a cyber attack it says was conducted by Beijing on its mapping agency in 2021. Berlin said the attack had been carried out for espionage purposes. The former BBC presenter Hugh Edwards has pleaded guilty to charges linked to having indecent images of children. Edwards was, for a long time, the BBC's main news presenter, anchoring coverage of state occasions.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Boddentown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
When I first started going to Healthcare Pharmacy, it was because it was convenient. But over the years, I continued to shop there because I trusted them. One day I was picking up my prescription, and the pharmacist noticed an over-the-counter medication in my basket. She said, "I hope that's not yours. It will interact with your prescription." And I thought, wow, thank you. Trust is so important when it comes to your health. Healthcare Pharmacy, with 2 locations, Grand Harbor and Governor Square, where they care about my health.
Parents, do you worry that Caymanian culture is getting lost in our youth with so many distractions? Well, the Cayman Islands National Museum has the perfect solution. Join the weekly Immerse Summer Camp until August 16th at the Intergenerational Hub behind Airport Fosters. Open to children ages 7 to 14. The camp runs from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. and costs $175 per week, including meals, admissions, transportation, and 2 t-shirts. Immerse your child in Caymanian history and culture with trips to historic sites and workshops by traditional artisans. Register now at museum.ky/immerse. Proudly sponsored by the Credit Union. The Immerse Summer Camp, weekly until August 16th.
I'm Caymanian born and bred. Come on down and stay a while instead.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcade, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 86 degrees. Relative humidity is 79%. The barometric pressure is 29.96 inches and falling. The wind is east-northeast at 7 knots. Overnight low temperature was 82 degrees. Synopsis indicate light to moderate east to northeasterly winds are expected over the Cayman area for the next 24 hours due to a slack pressure gradient across the northwest Caribbean. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area, moving towards the west-southwest. The Cayman Islands National Weather Service is closely monitoring an area of disturbed weather over the western Atlantic Ocean. The National Hurricane Center has mentioned a 60% chance of formation over the next 7 days. This system poses no immediate threat to the Cayman Islands. Now, the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, and temperatures will be in the low 90s with a heat index near 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Your winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Pretty much the same for tonight. Partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, and temperatures falling to the low 80s tonight. Your winds will be east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Low tide will be this afternoon at 1:21. High tide tonight at 9 minutes past 8. The sun will set this evening at 7 and rise tomorrow morning at 6:03. And the outlook is calling for an increased chance in cloudiness and showers expected from Friday afternoon as a tropical wave approaches the Cayman area. That's the very latest on your weather report.
We were on the edge of a breakthrough. I knew the substance was extraterrestrial, but I didn't realize.
Aunt Angie, what does this have to do with managing my insurance?
Well, long story long, the entire lab exploded, and the radioactive sludge went everywhere. I ended up in the hospital for a few weeks, but I was able to manage everything with the CG Online portal.
The online portal. Safe, convenient, simple. CG Britgay. Good like that.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Britgay, where people come first.
As part of a man's natural circadian rhythm, testosterone levels rise during sleep. Studies have shown that sleep deprivation can cause a significant decrease in testosterone production. If that was not bad enough, it can also affect brain function, memory, and mood. Many factors can cause poor sleep, including conditions like sleep apnea. Making responsible nighttime decisions, including removing screen time, late-night eating, minimizing alcohol, and speaking with a physician can improve your sleep schedule.
Shop at Funky Tanks, the home of electronics and more. Check out Funky Tanks' 2 locations, Shedden Road and Countryside Savannah, for loads of savings. In stock at Funky Tanks, both locations, stoves, fridges, and small appliances, mini split air conditioning units, sheets and comforters, all sizes, window curtains, cell phones and telephone accessories, musical instruments, karaoke and Bluetooth speakers, portable radios and portable fans are now available. Get yours for your hurricane kit. Funky Tanks. For more information, call 949-0998.
The mission of the National Conservation Council and the Department of Environment has worked to protect and conserve the unique plants, animals, and habitats that make the Cayman Islands so special. Learn more at conservation.ky.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Good morning. Let's take a look once again at traffic. Coming from the east on Shamrock Road, traffic is flowing moderately in both directions, as well as on the Linford-Pearson Highway and coming off of Bobby Thompson Way. Little steady traffic on Huldah Avenue, but nothing to worry about too much. Slow-moving traffic on Crew Road heading to Georgetown, and eastbound traffic on Crew Road is moving along light to moderate. From the West Bay 4-way stop, flowing at a good pace, and traffic is moderate in both directions on the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz. And coming off the Esther Tibbetts Highway, steady bit flowing traffic, moderate flow of traffic in both directions on North Sound Road, as well as heading towards the Industrial Park area. That's the very latest on your traffic, but before we go, Godfrey Nixon, West Eastern Avenue flowing at a good pace. Join us again at about 10 minutes past 12. We'll give you another look at traffic. Remember, click it or ticket.
Summer's heating up, and so are the good times. Whether you are out on the water, enjoying the beach, or gathering with colleagues for an office bash, make it a feast to remember with Subway. From assorted sandwich platters to mouth-watering cookies, our catering menu has something for everyone. Perfect for groups of 5 or more. For food that's fresh, fast, and perfect for any occasion, choose Subway Catering. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
You
deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Parents, do you worry that Caymanian culture is getting lost in our youth with so many distractions? Well, the Cayman Islands National Museum has the perfect solution. Join the weekly Immerse Summer Camp until August 16th at the Intergenerational Hub behind Airport Fosters. Open to children ages 7 to 14. The camp runs from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. and costs $175 per week, including meals, admissions, transportation, and 2 t-shirts. Immerse your child in Caymanian history and culture with trips to historic sites and workshops by traditional artisans. Register now at museum.ky/immerse. Proudly sponsored by the Credit Union. The Immerse Summer Camp, weekly until August 16th.
I'm Caymanian born and bred. Come on down and stay a while instead.
On behalf of the Port Authority of the Cayman Islands, the Ministry of Ports will be hosting 2 public consultations to examine the options for the future expansion of the cargo port. This is your chance to share your views and shape our island's future. You can join them tonight, Wednesday, July 31st, at the Vault, that's at the Compass Center, and also on Thursday, August 1st, at Church of God Chapel in Bodden Town. Both meetings will begin at 6:30 p.m. Can't make it? No worries. Participate through the online survey, which you can access on the ministry's government page or tune in live on Facebook. Your voice matters. Be a part of the conversation and help build a better future for our Cayman Islands. For more information, you can visit gov.ky/tourism transport or follow the Ministry of Tourism and Ports on Facebook and Instagram.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Before I introduce my guest, one of our listeners commented on the one caller who spoke about what is being taught in her school. So the person wrote and said, the caller spoke about what is being taught in schools regarding our culture. There are many programs offered, and I can speak to various programs put on by the Cayman National Cultural Foundation. It is the most intensive cultural camp and is usually run for 2 weeks in August. Stalwarts such as Deal Ebanks, Rosemary Ebanks, Miss Carmen Connolly, Mr. Rankin from East End, the candle makers from Georgetown, etc. The students are very engaged, and at the end of camp, they all have produced some tangible work. Are they going out to take up a career in candle making? I highly doubt that, because one can easily purchase a bag in a supermarket for a lot less dollars and time than it takes to produce locally. We have to remember that times have changed, but it is excellent to introduce today's youth to what was as well. So I want to thank that listener who wrote that response, as well in that regard. With that, I am happy to introduce our panelists in the studio this morning. They are none other than the Honourable Roy McTaggart, Leader of the Opposition, and his Deputy and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC, and good morning to the Cayman Islands. Lovely day outside. But glad to be here again, finishing up Parliament last week. So,
Great.
We can talk about that.
Yeah. Good morning, and to everyone listening and those online, and OC yourself, good morning. Good to be back again. Looking forward to some positive discussions this morning.
Okay. So I in my dialogue this morning, I was talking about some of the things that took place in the Parliament, in particular the private member's motion in relation to looking at the speed limits. And we had a caller who called in and, talked more about enforcement and pointed out that in many cases, you have persons who are driving under the speed limit as well, and sometimes pose a threat to safety on our roads. And I of course asked the question whether or not the caller thought that our roads, the way that they're designed, and where we don't have long stretches of road, whether or not they're really designed for 40 and 50 speeds of 40 and 50 miles an hour. I would disagree. I don't agree that is that we have that luxury out there, and you would end up with less accidents, and you probably, quite possibly, may get to your destination much quicker, if people are driving at reasonable speeds rather than zipping in and out of traffic as well. But, we, of course, will hear from you today about many of the things that transpired. I was highly critical and look forward to hearing from you about the rejection of the Electoral Boundaries Commission report. And while I understand the time frame within which things could be implemented, but yet earlier in the year we heard the supervisor of elections point out that his team, they were ready to implement any changes that were that had been brought into force. But I was particularly troubled by the approach that was taken to the report of the Electoral Boundaries, Electoral Boundary Commission report in relation to public consultation, because they put themselves forward, they put themselves out there. Public just simply didn't show up. Whether or not there's an interest in it, and whether or not we will ever get public interest in attending those types of meetings is another story. But at some point in time, we can talk about that this morning as well. Gentlemen, mic is yours.
You want to kick it off, Joe?
Sure. Thank you, OC. There were a lot of there were a few things during the last sitting of the House that I guess we found the notice periods and the timing a little short. We haven't. The last time we sat was early February. In the year, so 6 months, and we had a couple of delays, some at no fault of the government's, with the hurricane passing by us, and so anyway, we it turned out to be a fairly productive meeting, certainly one on behalf of the opposition. There was a lot of information revealed during our parliamentary questions, which we were able to get those answered after the Speaker raised his concerns on the lack of submission on answers. We submitted those PQs, as we call them, And majority of them were in the leader's name and the other and my other colleagues, because I initially were not going to be on island for Parliament, and then it was delayed just about a week and a half, and then it was delayed again because of the storm. But we had our parliamentary questions filed in the appropriate time for the first sitting of the House. So they had them for quite a while.
Over a month.
So there was adequate enough time for the answers to be submitted. And we take into account that there was a hurricane and that sort of stuff. But, after the hurricane passed and we went back to work time, went back to work rather, it's business as usual.
Now, both of you as former ministers as well, you know what the procedure is like as soon as those parliamentary questions come in. And in most instances, right away, your chief officer gets them, because then they may have heads of departments and others who have to contribute to that as well. Can you speak to that process so people can understand that no one was being targeted or you weren't accusing anyone of not doing something that wasn't possible, because that's a routine as far as PQs are concerned, and how you as ministers handled it.
Yeah, certainly. As you said, we are required to submit the parliamentary questions 2 weeks in advance of Parliament. Strategically speaking, you want to wait until those 2 weeks, so that if you submit them 6 weeks before, a lot of things may change. Especially if you, as we always say in politics, don't ask a question unless you know the answer. So it's submitted 2 weeks before, at a minimum 2 weeks before Parliament sits. There are occasions that the parliamentary questions are addressed to the wrong ministry, and so they'll be sent back to the Parliament. We submit them to the Parliament. The Parliament submits them to the chief officers in the ministry, and copies the opposition on the questions and the submissions. Sometimes it'll come back that either we got the wrong ministry, or that subject had been handed over to another ministry. And so that will be corrected right away. They'll send it back to us. We'll redirect it. And then it will then go to that ministry. What has happened historically with myself is the chief officer and the deputies will have a look at it. If it's a straightforward question, they will put the answers on my desk, and I will sign off on those answers. If there are issues of confidentiality and those sorts of things, they will then seek guidance on that. Whether sometimes you'll actually have to go to
AG,
either to the AG or even AG, go to the AG's office, or you can actually use the Freedom of Information office to say, what can we do here? They're asking for this. We had a precedent set where the request came in previously as an FOI, and this is how we dealt with it. How do we deal with this? And then they at the end of the day, it should end up on the minister's desk, and then he or she would have a look at it, add or remove what they would like, and then it goes back to chief officer, who then submits it to the Parliament to get on the order paper.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned for the record with the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart. His deputy and member of Parliament, Mr. Jerry Hugh, will continue after this short commercial break.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers, a compounding story.
I don't think people realize how pain creeps into your life. It has a way of robbing your strength. I really don't like taking prescription medication orally.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. They understand.
When it comes to compounded medication, it's personal. So whenever there's a problem with some medication or treatments that's not working right, then a physician will call me and say, hey, they're having bad side effects from this medication.
Compounding Pain Cream changed the game. Made special for me. Significant pain relief in the form of a cream. That is a new experience for me.
It's changed his life.
It worked.
Ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about compounding at West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Call 914-6449.
July is Laundry Month at BrandSource Home Gallery. Get ready to save big with 15% off on all washers and dryers, both domestic and commercial, and 30% off on selected laundry items.
Is your washer or dryer on its last spin? Now's the time to upgrade. From GE, LG, Samsung, Beko, Electrolux to Frigidaire, save up to 30% on laundry appliances during the month of July.
Visit BrandSource Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park or call 623-5000.
Check out BrandSourceCayman.com for more deals. Voted Best Appliance Store of 2023.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Tired of feeling exhausted, no matter how much sleep you get? It could be sleep apnea, a condition affecting millions of people that often goes undiagnosed. At Total Health, we believe in the power of preventative care. That's why we're offering at-home Level 2 sleep studies, convenient, comfortable, and conducted in the privacy of your own home. Untreated, sleep apnea can lead to serious health issues like high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. Our comprehensive approach means you get personalized care from start to finish. Wake up to a healthier tomorrow with Total Health. Contact us today at 333-2222 or visit totalhealth.ky to schedule your at-home Level 2 sleep study. Because a good night's sleep is just the beginning. Total Health, your partner in preventative care.
This is For the Record.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, Deputy Leader and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh. We will open up the phone lines later on. Meanwhile, if you have any questions or comments or observations, please WhatsApp them to us, 925-3261, and I will try to squeeze them in at some point during the conversation as well. Earlier, we were talking about parliamentary questions, the Speaker's call, and his should I call it admonishment? Admonished ministers, in relation to the answering of parliamentary questions as well. And we had the benefit of Mr. Hugh talking about the procedures that are normally followed as ministers, or even when the whole process of submitting a PQ, as a submitter and then as a minister, when it is received by your chief officer, what takes place as well. Yeah. I'm not sure if there's any more that you want to add.
I would just say from my perspective and my experience as a Minister of Finance in previous administration, I received very few PQs, but I made sure every single one of them was answered. And I'm pretty sure about that one, that they were all answered. I really appreciated the Speaker making the statement he did with regard to the lack of answers to questions, because had he not done so, we would have gone through that session of Parliament much the same as the previous ones that we'd had, where the majority of questions were not dealt with, they were not answered, and we'd have to resort to having them delivered to us in writing. That way they never get read into the record. and
the public doesn't
get the
benefit?
benefit of it. What we have been doing as the opposition here of late is publishing all the answers that we get to the questions. So where they do come out and we get written answers instead, we publish them, send them to the press.
But
here you go.
But you don't get the opportunity for supplementary questions.
Yes.
And so they can answer vaguely. And if they do that in writing, and I think I think that was the intention. I may be wrong, but I do believe that over certainly in the last sitting, and the clerk had to be chasing several ministries to get those written answers. And I think there was one or two that we never ever received. So I think that, possibly that was one of the motives for holding back on the answers, was to be able to provide them in writing later on, and then not giving the opposition the ability or the opportunity to ask supplementary questions and dig further into the matter that we're asking about. Of course, the Honourable Premier was absent due to illness.
Yes.
So those that were not answered or could not be answered by the acting Premier will be submitted to us in writing, and that's completely understandable.
Yeah,
and then we were chatting during the break too. I think the delay in some of the answers being submitted is because you would have noticed that there were a lot of statements made by the ministers, and a statement is when the minister applies to the speaker to be able to stand and make a statement on a topic, and a lot of those statements, there were dozens and dozens of statements. Majority were formalities or had to do with reports and things but there were several statements that were made in relation to some of the parliamentary questions that we asked.
Yeah.
So in the case of the regen, the landfill, the question came from the member from Newlands, the former Premier, asked a question about an update on that, and the minister then said that she will be making a statement on it. So she didn't answer the question because she would be making a statement later in the day or the next day. And the speaker did say that he would allow some questions on the statement. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out to be the same. We weren't given the leeway to ask the amount of questions and the type of questions we would be able to ask as a supplementary to a parliamentary question on the statement, just because of standing orders and those sorts of things.
Right.
But that was a very specific instance where the minister actually answered the parliamentary question by saying, "I'm going to be doing a statement." And of course, we know what the result of that statement was the cancellation of 7 years of negotiation on what we all thought was going to be the answer to our continuously growing landfilling issues. And this has been an issue now. When I got into politics almost 12 years ago, it was said to be this was an issue that we had been grappling with for 20 years. So we're 32 years on now from when I first got in, and when I first got involved in politics, that was the term used. We've been grappling with this issue for 20 years, and we are almost 12 years later. So we're 31 and a half years into this issue, and we are right back to the starting point. We're back to day one as we speak. So
what I would add to that is, in terms of the PQs, OC, is that the Premier herself contacted me I think it was the first day of Parliament. So I knew I did get a message from her. She asked me, about her PQs since she wasn't going to be in Parliament. She asked, can I submit them? Can I submit them to you in writing, or we can delay them to the next sitting of Parliament? Well, I immediately jumped on the opportunity for her to just submit them to us in writing. We haven't received them yet, but I know that we'll get them. But I mean, at that point, had no clue And we left there without any real idea as to when the next substantive meeting of Parliament will take place. We know now that we are having a special meeting of Parliament on Thursday, it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for
tomorrow
to commemorate the visit of Speaker Hoyle.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a ceremonial type meeting, and so there would be no opportunity there anyway. So we would have lost, no idea as to when the next sitting of Parliament will be, and so we agreed to accept them as written answers. And what we will do, as I mentioned to you, is that we will make them public and allow the press and the public to see those answers.
Now, what could be helpful for ministers as well when they're going to submit answers in writing? Because I know, as a former cabinet secretary and also as a former head of department, that you not only answer the question that has been posed to the minister, but you anticipate supplementaries as well.
Yes.
So you provide answers to possible supplementaries. It would be good if when they submit their answers in writing, that they submit some supplementary answers as well, even though they may or may not have been asked. Yes.
Politically, that wouldn't be a wise move.
If you're being transparent and if you're being honest about it, I don't see any damage can be done.
The rule they have in the one rule they have in politics is don't answer a question unless you're asked.
That's the other rule, right? Don't ask if you don't know the answer,
and don't answer unless you're asked.
Okay, you got me there with that. You got me.
But you're absolutely right. If you are being genuine, if you're being open and transparent, then you would. And we as a minister, you sit down, you look, and sometimes you try to anticipate what it is the member asking the question is trying to ascertain. There were some members in the former opposition who you always knew that when that member asked a question, it had the answer he's looking for had nothing to do with that question. He liked to play Quincy Brown, Quincy MD, or Dick Tracy or whatever, and would ask that question, and then a supplementary would be attached to that, would take that member down the road they really wanted to go to, right? Trying to catch you off guard and stuff. So quite often you try to anticipate what is the member looking for in asking this question, and if sometimes your team will give you too long of an answer. With a bit more information you think is needed, you would say, okay, break some of that out into possible supplementaries. So,
okay, these commercial breaks are coming fast and
furious.
Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
So much happening so fast, too much. It is hard for me to follow my healthcare instructions. The private counseling with West Bay Pharmacy literally saved my life.
At West Bay Pharmacy, we know how complex medications can be. Our pharmacists are delighted to offer you personalized one-on-one healthcare counseling, free medication review, therapeutic callbacks, and we will liaise with your physician to ensure you receive the best in quality medical care.
Quality of life has a whole new meaning with the right pharmacy to support you. Thank you, West Bay Pharmacy.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Now you can WhatsApp your West Bay Pharmacy prescriptions to 516-0777.
There's nothing more important than your health, and seeking expert healthcare with physicians you can trust is what you deserve. UHealth, the University of Miami Health System, offers peace of mind to you and your family with a first-class experience. Our patient coordinators assist with everything you need before, during, and after your stay with us. As South Florida's only academic-based health system, UHealth offers cutting-edge treatment, compassionate care, and life-changing results just a flight away. Learn more at umiamihealth.org/international.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. Pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, Deputy Leader and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh. One of our listeners in relation to the Regen project said, Regen project, what a disappointment. How many years now and still nothing? They go on to say, I recall Ard McLean many years ago saying that it was his greatest disappointment that he was unable to bring that to a successful conclusion.
Right. So that is why in 2021 I got involved in 2017 when I got involved in politics. They were saying it was 20 years in the making, and you know, here we are in 2024, and we're literally back to square one, back to zero. Mm-hmm. And further than that, and you know, OC, actually, I'd like to move on and talk about that, but I just want to say thank you this morning I think it's important that we have these types of discussions so that the public gets to understand how government works.
The process, yes.
The process. I think, you know, maybe another time we can dig into it deeper, but I think there's a lot of confusion around government, cabinet, and opposition. And there's also confusion around parliamentary private member motions and government. So the Honourable Leader brought a motion on removing duties on fuels. And, you know, even in our executive meeting last night, a member said they heard that the government is going to do this. And we said, well, yeah, that was our motion that we brought, and, you know, they have accepted it. Doesn't mean that they actually have to do it. They can consider it, or they can come back with a version of what the motion was. So, you know, some of the talk was that perhaps they would do it for a period of time versus the 12 months that we had suggested. However, I think it is important to have those discussions, and maybe the next time you're in, we can spend the first half talking about government structure and things like private member motions and stuff. But
and what I would say to OC is that say to the public listening is that as the opposition, you can only ask government to consider certain policies or certain actions or activities, and even though they, as you were saying, they accept the motion. You have no control over the timing as to when they will actually consider it and make a decision. And, you know, what could come out at the back end of it could be something different from what you had asked for, because you get their input now into the, potential policy decisions that are being made. So those are the sorts of things that can happen when you have it. I mean, we felt coming out of last week's meeting that, you know, the opposition did pretty well. We introduced two motions, and I presented those motions on behalf of the opposition, and they were both accepted by the government.
Can you go into a little specifics, at least what those motions were?
Well, the first motion, it was on the reduction of fuels, temporarily reducing to zero the duty charged by government on imports of fuels purchased by the utility providers, and second, the fuels for cooking gas, and 3, automotive fuels, including diesel. Now, we felt that this has a lot of merit because the amount of fuel being consumed by CUC is totally a pass-through. Any citizen can look at their electricity bill every month and see what they are paying in fuel duty. So that's dead easy to implement, and that can be done, with July or August bills if they wanted to do that. But then secondly, the other issues, things we were asking them to consider as well, because the issue always is that it gets passed on to the consumer.
Yes.
That's the all-important issue.
And that's the skepticism that you hear from people is, how do we ensure that the consumer benefits from these reductions?
That's what off-reg is there for.
Absolutely.
I say the same thing on air as well.
Yeah. So
but then there are some people who are skeptical about off-reg as well.
So my view is that something like this has the greatest chance of success and having the most desired effect by truly helping our citizens with their lowering their bills. And I do hope that they will act on this and act on it quickly. The Minister of Ports, he got up and said, proudly proclaimed that they were considering things like this already. I'm not so sure about that it was because of certain statements that were made there afterwards with it. But anyway, we leave it as it is, and he has suggested that it's something that they are going to produce. I'm hoping that they're coming forward with something that will be quite substantive and truly a help to the people of our islands.
Oh, see, this motion is a perfect example where we ask for everything, just about. Where we think it would be beneficial to our people. There may be technical, there may be issues why that can't be done. But in the resolve section of this, where it says we ask the government to consider it, if we had put in that resolve section that the government shall, they would have to refuse the entire motion because there are one or two things in there that they don't think is possible.
Okay.
But because we said consider it, they can consider all aspects of it and implement what parts of it. So that's just going back to the difference between asking the government to consider something. It's easier for the government to accept it and then dissect it afterwards, versus if you say the government shall.
Make it obligatory, yes.
Right, yeah. Sorry, and your second motion?
The second motion, I don't have the motion actually here, but it was geared more towards the banks in Cayman.
It was a very detailed motion.
Yeah, very detailed motion asking the government to engage with the banks to having them implement a more robust consumer policies with regard to the way they treat their customers,
right?
And
including fees.
Including fees, it was geared more, directly towards fees because I asked for SEMA, for them to get SEMA to consider checking in and doing a review of the fees being charged by our commercial banks to see if they are reasonable in the circumstances. Because OC during COVID, we saw a plethora of new fees introduced by the banks, and that was during a time frame. The title of the motion was "Higher Standard of Bank Duty of Fairness to Customers," and it addressed the issues of the fees because during the COVID crisis, and going back as far back as the financial crisis in 2008, 2009, we had a whole 10 years where interest rates were, I think, artificially low because of actions taken by the U.S. Fed. And the country got used to that. And then you had the big, massive increases now in interest rates because of the effects of inflation. A lot of fees were introduced during that time frame in order to compensate for what we know as the very compressed spreads that the banks were making between what they paid their customers in interest and what they could earn on those on the loans that they granted
and
locally.
The customers' deposits, yes.
And so it was. We believe now that the spreads have basically normalized. And it is time for them really now to consider rolling back some of these fees, because charging someone 1% to come in and with to get cash out of their bank account is, to me, it's crazy, but they do it.
And to tell someone you have to open a bank account to cash a check on that bank. So you're paying your fees on that account, $25 every month, this fee, that fee, and then to charge you again $5 to cash a check.
Yeah.
Now we see very. If I could interject for a second, we see. I think a new president of the Cayman Islands Bankers Association has just been elected or selected, whatever. Sure. Do you think anything will come from that, or is it the tail wagging the dog rather than the dog wagging the tail when it comes to the Bankers Association?
Well, I think if you notice the banks the majority of the big banks that make up the association, they can coordinate very well to publish interest rate hikes. I think they should be able to coordinate very well to bring things down as well. Yes. I think it's important that I read the resolved section, and so discussion can continue. It says, it was a very long and detailed motion, and then it says, be it therefore resolved that the government consider requiring local banks to implement a mandatory updated banking code of practice using the UK's banking consumer duty rules as a guide to ensure bank customers' best interests are adequately considered in banks' decisions. Be it further resolved that if the banks are unwilling to enter into such a sufficiently robust updated banking code of practice, the government should consider preparing legislation to provide for a higher standard of banks' duties to customers using the UK's banking consumer duty rules as a guide. And be it further resolved that the government considers urgently reviewing and bringing forward an update to the draft amendments to the Registered Land Act proposed by the Law Reform Commission based on their review of useful reforms of the law to deal with the enforcement of mortgage-type security over real estate. I think that one is a huge one for our people. And be it further resolved that the government considers requesting CIMA, Cayman Islands Monetary Authority, to review and report back to the Parliament by the end of this calendar year on the fairness of fees charged by retail banks and the fairness of interest rates paid on savings and other deposit accounts, ensuring that these rates and fees are fair and equitable for all customers. I think the banks should welcome that.
Yes.
Because they keep saying that it is fair. They're saying that it is equitable. They keep saying that it's needed. And I think they would welcome a review by CIMA. They should welcome a review by CIMA to justify their actions.
Mm-hmm. And if CIMA doesn't have the capability, within themselves to do it, then they can go outside and contract an independent entity to do so for them.
Yeah.
So there should be no excuse in terms of
even if the banks feel that
that.
CIMA is in some way or some form conflicted in this, then certainly they can have it done by a third party. But these are questions that I think everyone it's on the forefront of everyone's minds. As we said in our debates, and certainly I mentioned, it's no longer that a bank is a convenience or a business tool. You have to have a bank account to survive in today's Cayman.
Yep.
The rest of the world is kind of moving away from banks. But today in Cayman, you can't do anything with it. You can't, if you run on NAU, you can't get your money without a bank account.
Yes. Yeah.
You can't cash a check without a bank. If you're a hard-working, law-abiding citizen that just do your little thing, you're a landscaper, one-man team, you go out and you get paid with a check at the end of the week for your, for a job, $175, you can't go and cash that check without a bank account. You can't go and cash that check without losing $5 out of it.
Yeah.
And paying fees on having that bank account. So it's impossible to live without it. So we have to ensure that our citizens are being protected and that there's equity and fairness across the board.
Okay, like I said, gentlemen, those commercial breaks are coming fast and furious. Top of the hour, headline news. When we return, the conversation with the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, and his Deputy, Mr. Joe Hugh, will continue. Don't change that dial. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Station. Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority. The Ministry of Tourism and Ports invites you to a public consultation meeting for the outlined business case and master plan regarding the expansion of the cargo port facility. It's taking place tonight at 6:30 p.m. at the Vault Compass Center. Hamas says its political leader Ismail Haniyeh has been killed in Iran's capital, Tehran. He was killed at an airstrike at about 2 a.m. local time. The 62-year-old is the most senior Hamas leader to be killed since the October 7th attacks. Hamas has blamed Israel, which is yet to respond, but has previously vowed to eliminate Hamas's leaders. Iran, the group's most important backer, has vowed to avenge his death. It comes hours after Israel claimed it killed a senior Hezbollah leader in Lebanon. The two attacks raise fears of further regional conflict and throw ceasefire talks between Hamas and Israel into doubt, as Haniyeh is a key figure in negotiations. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
The Health Services Authority will be hosting a town hall session at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, July 31st at the Boddentown Health Center. Join the discussion on introducing additional services to meet the needs of the community and our future expansion plans for the Boddentown Health Center. Remember, at HSA, we remain committed to caring for you. Visit hsa.ky for more details.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, my panel, the Honourable Roy McTaggart, Leader of the Opposition, his Deputy and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh. We're talking about recently concluded Parliament session. Gentlemen, the mic is yours.
Go back then now to the back to the other motion that we had with reduction of the duties and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, see, what I would only add to this discussion here right now is that we have seen. I've learned in the last week or so that that the island of Bermuda is implementing a similar type of policy in that they're rolling back the taxes on fuels.
Mm-hmm.
And the impetus for that was an increase in electricity rates at the Bermuda Electric Company. So it's, we're all in, it seems that more and more, within the overseas territories have similar issues and policies that have to, issues that they have to deal with. And, these types of policies are becoming more and more common. And so I think, certainly it's a real effective step in the right direction for Cayman to do it. You remember we had a similar program, I think it was 2 years ago, where, the government did implement a relief program for 3 months initially,
mm-hmm.
and I do believe it was extended for another 3 months. So it came out in July, and I think it really didn't end until November, December time frame. And, that is the type of policy I'm asking them also I've asked them to also look to implement again this year. But they are late to the table here with this, but they have accepted it because I think, the highest rate, your electricity bills are going to be highest in July, August, and September.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 months that are just critical to our people. And they will, I'm sure they can easily make it retroactive too if they wanted to. But, we'll wait and see what they do come up with and how it is implemented.
And the question was asked, OC, they were asking us and trying to, suggest that we were asking them to remove some of the budget from NAU to fund this, and we were looking at what was it, what was the amount we were looking for a whole year was.
It was like 14 or 15 17 million.
Yeah, 17
something like that.
So that was for an entire year. So if they only did a few months, it's substantially less. But as I said to them, it comes down to priorities. What are your priorities as a government? As we were discussing earlier, you have less than 8 months to go before the elections. What are you going to complete? Some of these grandiose projects that they have, are you honestly going to complete it? Are you going to commit the government to that, or are you going to continue to spend money on architects and experts and these things if you're actually not even going to get the project started before your term is over? We also heard Regen is gone now. We should circle back to that in a minute. The subsea cable seems to have...
That's going to be possibly privatized,
but certainly we could not ascertain whether or not government will be taking the recommendations of the experts or not. There's an article in today's paper and one of the media houses about it. Apparently there's going to be the report from the experts went to cabinet, but now there's another cabinet paper coming to cabinet. So the minister did not want to comment or give an answer on the simple question of is the government following, or have the government accepted the recommendations from the consultants? So there's money there. There's been money in that budget for the last two budget cycles that have been used, spent, taken out in Section 11s and in Section 12s and spent other places. And there's still some funding remaining there. So if they're not going to do that, there's funding there as well. There's projects such as the Waterfront Experience and others, the Beach Park up in Frank Sound, that haven't started yet. Are you honestly going to get that project out of the ground before the next budget session or before the end of the year? And these are things that the government have to ask themselves. What are you going to prioritize? Are you going to prioritize helping your people where there's need? Or are you going to prioritize some of these projects? Can you phase some of them? This is something we did with the onset of COVID. And very early, once we recognized that COVID was going to be an issue, the Premier called us all into the cabinet room and with our chief officers. And he said, go back to your ministries. If you haven't started that project yet, if you can stop that project without penalties, if this project is not a necessity, hold off. We're going to hold off on spending because we are not sure how long this virus is going to affect us, how long will we have to close our borders, etc. So that's priorities. You make decisions based on those things. So this is a problem, or this is the challenge that's facing the government, is what are you going to prioritize for the next 8 months that you're in office?
Now, how difficult, if you can be quite honest with me, not saying that you haven't been honest in the past, how easy or how difficult is that going to be when you consider that all members of cabinet are really independent members per se, which means that they're thinking, about their survival and their prospects in the next election if they intend to run.
Yeah, right. It is. Sorry.
I was going to say it will be a very big challenge for them to find agreement, and we see that, and we've seen that throughout the term of this government. Any policy decision, anything in terms of certainly spending big money, that there is always very heated debate amongst them, and real difficult challenges in coming together and agreeing on policies. And that's why you look back on the record over the last 3 years and you see that just how little has really been accomplished. A lot of rhetoric about what they're going to be doing, and they're going to this, that, and the other, but nothing you can really see in terms of the implementation and of the policies.
when you are in your last year, OC, and then you look back and you say, "Whoa, the first 3 years just disappeared," and the next few months are going to disappear even faster. Then you start to look at and what you're going to have happening is you're going to have where we sat around the table, we all looked at one manifesto. We all looked at one common goal, and then we say, what can we achieve? How can we deliver for our people? Now you got 8 ministers sitting around a table with each one holding their own manifesto, looking at their own manifesto, what they promised people. And they're all going to try and achieve those things between now and the election so that they can go back to their people and say, I promised you this and this is what I did. And that is where your challenge is going to come in. Because why should I give if you're not giving? How come you getting this and I don't get this? and that's where the major issue comes in.
And again, from a practical standpoint, both of you being former cabinet ministers as well, how from a practical standpoint, how do you achieve that? In your case, you had a premier who basically appointed you as minister, can remove you as a minister as well. Quite possible in a situation with independent members as well. But what sanctions can be, other than removal as a cabinet minister, and you probably wouldn't want to do that, with 8 months to go before an election. How do you get ministers to agree to taking that money that we had for this vanity project and moving it to the other one? How do you apply sanctions in those instances?
You can't apply sanctions. You're basically then trying to, again, and this is the issue, if this were in a situation when we were in there, we all sitting there with one PPM manifesto. Yeah. In fact, even when the PPM and the unity government came together and we formed, we took the two manifestos, and when we overlaid them, we realized that they were just about the same. There were just one or two things that we had a differing opinion on, and in the beginning of the term, we came to a compromise on those one or two issues. So we were all sitting, as we would say here in Cayman, singing out of the same hymn book. And so that's where you are. And then you decide as a national priority, where are you with this project? It's something like, let us go back to regen, something like regen. If the issue was that they saw red for the next couple of years on their finances, on their books, so they were not able to meet the framework for fiscal responsibility because of not monies that they had to put out now, because they didn't have to put out any money now. It's monies they'd have to put out in 2 or 3 years' time. But that's a liability for you, so that's going to show up in the budgets going forward. And the way to deal with that is through a sinking fund or a commitment of some sorts that you are going to fund that. But you look at that and you have to say that is a national priority, right? That is a national priority. That's 1 to 10, that's a 9. So what contracts have you not signed yet? What whether it's a vanity project or even a national project that's a 5 versus a 9, where are you with that? What can you accomplish by the end of this budget or by the end of the year? Quite frankly, by the end of the year. What can you accomplish? Well, we can, instead of building the entire thing, we can do phase 1, we can do groundworks, we can do design. So you won't start construction? No. Okay. Here's the funding we had for construction. That can go back into the pot. We can start putting that towards priorities that rate higher than this particular project, and that is the way you would address it.
Okay, we're going to go to a commercial break, but just before we go to that, so one of the options would be that the premier could basically say, okay, I understand that you want to ensure that your constituency are aware that these are the things that you have accomplished for them. Can you choose out of all of the things that are there something that could help you in your re-election bid? And let's focus on that one rather than doing 4 or 5 and focus. That's one of the options that would be out there to a leader to try to appease them in one way or the other.
That would be advice. That is advice that I actually gave one of the members of government. I said, if I were you, I would focus on this one thing, because you're going to end up at the end of your term not accomplishing anything for your people because you're trying to do all these things. I actually gave that advice to a member of the government because I could see it, and it's going to be a waste of money, right? You're going to try and rush things. You're going to start throwing money around to get things done. You can clear the land 2 or 3 more times just to make it look like you're doing something. You're wasting money. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take that commercial break. I believe we have a caller on hold as well. We'll take that caller when we return. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
On behalf of the Port Authority of the Cayman Islands, the Ministry of Ports will be hosting 2 public consultations to examine the options for the future expansion of the cargo port. This is your chance to share your views and shape our island's future. You can join them tonight, Wednesday, July 31st, at the Vault, that's at the Compass Center, and also on Thursday, August 1st, at Church of God Chapel in Bodden Town. Both meetings will begin at 6:30 p.m. Can't make it? No worries. Participate through the online survey, which you can access on the ministry's government page, or tune in live on Facebook. Your voice matters. Be a part of the conversation and help build a better future for our Cayman Islands. For more information, you can visit gov.ky/tourism transport or follow the Ministry of Tourism and Ports on Facebook and Instagram.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
Work's new jobs and online payment services is officially live. Experience a more user-friendly site with easier navigation and enhanced features. Job seekers can now explore additional features tailored to their needs. Employers can benefit from a streamlined process for managing job posts and applications. Online payments are now a breeze. Discover more at worc.ky or call us at 945-9672.
With Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. As promised, we're going to go straight to the WhatsApp caller. Okay. The WhatsApp caller is left. No one on the main line. Okay, person has sent a message. I'll find the message and read it in the meantime, gentlemen. Don't forget, at some point in time, we want to talk about that a rejection of the report of the Electoral Boundary Commission, as well. That's one that is near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, well, see, I think we have, there were a couple of things that came out. We touched on the landfill. I think we need to talk about that a little bit more. We touched on the subsea cable. That's in today's in the press. The mental health facility was a huge disappointment for us. We can't say enough about that. This is just unbelievable. 3.5 years down the road, that we simply can't open get a facility open. We're not talking about building it. It was built.
It's built, yes.
Basically built. It sat locked up for probably 1.5 years before they unlocked it, only to find out that there's issues, that they're having difficulty. And what is concerning now, OC, is that no one is taking responsibility. The minister has stated clearly that she will no longer provide any updates because it is out of her control. Oh. She said that in her statement.
Yes.
Right? Nobody else got up. The minister for Works was sitting right next to her. He didn't get up and say, okay, put my hand up, we're working on it. Minister of Finance, well, she was not there. But there's no clear reason, and no one is taking responsibility for why it isn't open. And why, at this point now, we can't actually even provide a estimated projected date for opening. And OC, mental health is a real issue here in Cayman. It is at the top of the minds of our people. And more people are needing help, and more families are being separated when persons are having to be sent overseas for care.
And it doesn't discriminate. It is at all levels of our society.
All levels of our society.
And some may be able to afford it to go overseas to private clinics or whatever, but not everyone is in that position.
This is one of those things that we talk about, national priorities, and where does it rank in national priorities? And this is a 9 or a 10 again. And this is something that every single member of the government should be saying to that minister, how can we help? How do we get this done? What we heard last week was a passing of the buck. It literally was a passing. This is out of my control.
Yeah.
And I will no longer provide updates.
And that has a possibility to be the minister's Waterloo in the next election?
Absolutely. But I mean, what we do note as well is that a number of people have been hired to staff the facility. So what are they doing? No clear answer there as to what's going on. But meantime, it appears to us that the facility continues to sit there and languish.
And we have received communications from the experts in the field, and they are baffled. They are just as baffled as we are, quite frankly. So we'll see how that one plays out, OC, and whether or not someone stands up and takes a hold of it and takes responsibility for it and just get it done. Yeah, or come clean with the public and point the fingers where it has to be pointed. Regen, if we can loop back to that, and then OC, then perhaps then we can move on to the Boundaries Commission. But Regen again, we did not get a clear answer from that very long statement that the minister made as to why they have decided to abandon the contract negotiations. 7 years in, 3.5 of them. I didn't get it. There was talks about the sale of the inability to lock in a purchase agreement with CUC on the sale of the energy. That I questioned after, because if you're now saying that you're going to go out and do this by yourself, how are you going to lock in that sale if you couldn't do it this time? And then we hear that the current landfill, sits right in the middle of my constituency, depending on which way the wind swings, whether it is Webb Road and North Sound Road that smells it, whether it is Washington Boulevard, Swamp area, Watlers Road, Marbell Drive, Parkway, all the way down to Harkwell, to the hospice, Jasmine,
yeah.
Right into Camana Bay.
If the wind is coming out of the southeast, it's going to go that way.
You know, we're all affected in this. A lot of us will jump up and say, "Oh, Camana Bay, that's what they get." But there's thousands of Caymanians I know, including myself, that live along that area, that are affected by this. And God forbid, OC, the last time we had a fire, that was a couple of 100 yards back. This landfill has grown a couple of 100 yards closer to the residential areas. It is right up on the road right now. And they're saying to me that they can continue to tip there for 5 to 7 years. I don't see it. I invite anyone to just drive, turn off in that bypass and get out and have a look and figure out for yourself, how are they going to tip there for another 5 to 7 years? When we were in office 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we were told it had 3 to 5 years. We've been getting updates every year, and we've been told 3 to 5 years every year for the last 3.5 years, and now we're being told 5 to 7. And the question is, are they going for? It seems like that the case was built that we don't need a waste-to-energy facility, that's not fit for purpose. The costs are too high. I asked the question: what is the cost of not doing it?
Good question. We have a couple of callers. We have to go to a commercial break, but we're going to grab one caller before we go to the commercial break. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, O.C.
Morning.
Morning to your guest, Mr. Roy, Mr. Joey.
Morning. Good morning, sir.
Good. Now, I got a joke out of the motion that you guys bring to the house, you know. The one with the bank, they're not so bad. But the motion that you should have asked the government to bring the feasibility of what's getting 0.25% out of all the billions of dollars that go into the Cayman Islands. That would bring a real something to deal with my son. Now, the second one about the cooking gas to help the poor man. Now, I go ask you this, if you had this in mind, and you answer when I hang up. Well, the average household uses about 250 pounds of propane gas per annum. Whilst the big hotel that's selling food for $50 a plate, they use it anyway about 100,000 pounds. Would they be getting the same thing as the poor man that you're going to help? Or just the poor man going to get it? Yeah? Answer me that. Thank you very much. And about the fuel cost for power, for CUC, that is a joke. Because on the can't monitor it. Answer me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller.
This is what we're saying. It's up to the government. This is something that they can do quite easily, to say that only residential. Yes. They can even do residential up to a certain size. Right? This is the ability that they have, the way we presented the motion, that they can decide how they want to apply it. Our intention is for it to help lower the burden on our people. Right? They can apply it with whatever regulations they want. And the fuel to CUC is a pass-through. To the utility companies, you'll see it on your bill. It's a pass-through. It says this is how much fuel you use, and here's the cost that we pay for it, and the government tax on it.
And we had that discussion in Parliament that day when the motion went forward, because I think it was Minister Jay and Minister of Ports got up and challenged me bringing the motion, ostensibly because I was a shareholder of CUC. And Speaker addressed it very forthrightly, that, in terms of that, CUC doesn't benefit from it in any way because of that pass-through. The net effect of them is zero. So there's no conflict of interest. So, that was aside, really, from everything. But I don't think it doesn't appear to me that he completely understands that. And that, it's purely citizen. That's something that comes straight out of our pockets.
And for the uninitiated pass-through, can you break it down? What it basically means, that the government is charging a fee for that fuel to go for CUC to receive it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So CUC consumes the fuel. They will pay the government. They will pay the tax on it. So when it's delivered by when it's consumed by them from the suppliers, and then they then in turn now pass that cost on to the consumer, and so it comes out and then it comes back into them, so that the net effect is zero.
Okay.
Yeah. So also going back to my points on the landfill. If 7 years later that they have decided that the waste to energy is not fit for purpose, I don't buy it that they've decided that it's not feasible financially for the project, because I don't see them 7 years later negotiating a new project for the same services and getting it in any less than what the costs were 7 years ago. What has happened to balloon the cost from when we first entered into agreement with the DART consortium to take it from a couple of $100 million to, what are they saying now?
$2 billion. We're figures that we're being bandied around.
Batting around. We don't know, and no one will tell us. But they said they won't release that information because they plan to go out for a competitive tender again. And so they're claiming that to be commercially sensitive.
Okay.
But I get the impression from some of the chatter and from reading the minister's statement that perhaps a case is being made to not do a waste to energy, but to go to a modern recycling and landfilling application, because they may feel that, and I've seen the sentiment out there that, listen, this is not fit for purpose for Cayman. It's too expensive. It's too big. It's da-da-da. So if they do that, where are they going to do that? There's no space there at the Georgetown landfill. If they're going to do that there's serious implications there as well. I can't see them passing any environmental impact assessment to do landfill there again. There's a lot of chatter about it going back to Bodentown. If that is the case, you need the road. They've just last week in Cabinet, week before last in Cabinet, chose a preferred route, I understand, and now they're going into the environmental impact assessment and all of the necessary requirements to start construction on the road. And then once construction starts and the road happens, that's 2-3 years, then you got to start building the landfill. So maybe that is where the 5 to 7 years come in, that they're claiming that this will last for 5 to 7 years. But I simply don't see it happening. There's so many questions to be answered here.
Yep. Okay, we're going to take that commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
She hear clunk and our car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN Money transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money transfer card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers, a compounding story.
I don't think people realize how pain creeps into your life. It has a way of robbing your strength. I really don't like taking prescription medication orally.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. They understand.
When it comes to compounded medication, it's personal. So whenever there's a problem with some medication or treatments that's not working right, then a physician will call me and say, hey, they're having bad side effects from this medication.
Compounding pain cream changed the game. Made it special for me. Significant pain relief in the form of a cream. That is a new experience for me.
It's changed his life.
It worked.
Ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about compounding at West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Call 914-6449.
Beacon Furniture is celebrating 20 years of providing gorgeous and affordable furniture for your home. Now through August 5th, Beacon Furniture is offering 20% off all in-stock furniture and home accessories. We offer free delivery and setup. Visit us at our location, 386 Shamrock Road Prospect, opposite the Seafarers Hall. Call 943-2500 or check out our website at www.beaconfurniture.ky. Beacon Furniture. Buy it today and have it in your home tonight. Thank you for 20 years of support. Save 20% off this week at Beacon Furniture.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Miss Susan, we still have another caller on hold. Let's grab the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Connor.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. McTaggart.
Good morning. Good morning.
I just have one or two statements and maybe a little question in there, and I won't take up much time. Clearly, there is a lot of conversations, as Mr. Hugh mentioned, in regards to the regen and a couple other things in which the government made announcements recently in the House of Parliament. My question is this, Mr. Hugh, specifically for you, because I realize that you're the person that's spearheading the rebuttal on the exiting of the regen project. Did you read the 1,200-page agreement and document for the DART Consortium?
Did I read the entire thing? When we were in power, we spent numerous amount of hours having presentations on the document. In fact, we were back then, and including the Wheeler-Brado report, but back then we were told specifically by the ministry's chief officer that we could not be involved in the negotiations and we could not be involved in any contact and that thing with the bidder. But we did receive presentations on it. Did I read the entire thing? Absolutely not. I did not read the entire thing, but we had almost weekly, certainly bi-weekly updates from Mr. Peter Ranger, the project manager, and from the ministry, and presentations as we proceeded through parts of it. So did I read the entire thing? No, I didn't. And it's important for me to say as well that I did sit in cabinet for the last couple of years after the contract was signed, but I didn't spearhead the project. My being with Regen right now is that it sits with the landfill. Actually, it sits right smack in the middle of my constituency.
Great. No, I don't disagree. And God bless Mr. Peter Ranger since he's since passed. The only reason I asked that question, Joey, is not to be facetious or
that's fine.
anything. The only reason I asked that question is because in order for anyone to fully understand a position that a government or in particularly a minister has taken, because that minister has taken the time to have read through the critical points of that 1,200-page document and also found anomalies in which raised concerns for her. Now, if you remember when John was a member of the PPM, he had removed Jennifer Ahorn, which was the chief officer on the negotiation of the Regen project back when he was with the PPM. And that was unanimously agreed to, so the PPM government removed Jennifer Ahorn. Then when Mr. Wayne Pannon became the premier, he brought her back, put her back in the driver's seat. And then when Wayne was removed and then Kathy inherited the portfolio, she started to read and find all of the necessary things in which made her comfortable with removing the project as something in the future as in its current state. The problem is that the fight that she received with trying to remove Jennifer with the conflict of interest in which was conceived by her, and then finding all of the other issues. Now, I'll end with this. Within that 1,200-page document, which I took the time to read, unfortunately, it took me almost 6 months to get through the whole document because it's a lot of complicated. And Mr. Joey Hugh, I tell you, don't do yourself any favors by trying to read that.
No, this is absolutely but you know, and you are absolutely right. I do believe that you know, so much we lost so much when we lost Mr. Ranger, but we in the cabinet or caucus literally had an update from him on this project every 2 weeks, and we had the luxury of him walking us through himself and his team walking us through the technicalities of it, and the Wheelabrator report. I did try to read that, and that was even more confusing. But yeah, I take your point.
I will share something with you.
But let me ask you a question. One of the things and listen, I just want to see action. It had been 3.5 years of delays. I think they did a few audits. I think, in my opinion, I think they were trying to find something nefarious or something I don't know before we actually started to see negotiations and movements towards coming to an agreement or a financial close. And then now the project has been shelved. But if there were major issues within that contract or the anomalies, wouldn't that be something that the minister could share with us in her reasoning for doing so, for shelving the project?
I was getting to that point.
Okay.
With you, and I am too concerned about any major project that has a significant environmental impact on our island. We should all be in the same boat in regards to that. But what I want to share with you, and clearly it's for everybody's benefit. Now, I am no lawyer, and I'm going to just let you know how I interpreted it. It's hard to interpret it any other how. I mean, I could have got a lawyer. But anyway, within that 1,200-page document, there was a requirement in there from the financial side of things where the project wasn't supposed to exceed any more than the originally agreed cost, more than 10%. Now, you guys mentioned earlier where there was a number floating around from a couple $100 million to almost $2 billion. Nobody knows where that came from. Chris Saunders, from my memory, serves me right, is who started that particular number. Now, let's just say hypothetically that the project had exceeded more than 10%. It wouldn't have been $1 billion, but from a couple $100 million to say maybe close to $1 billion would have exceeded the 10%. Now, in that clause, it stated that if the project had exceeded more than 10% of its original agreed cost, it would be subjected for review for retendering. So I think you're right. There could be more information on all sides of the government so that the public have a better understanding on why certain decisions were made. But when I listened to the statement made by Ms. Wilkes after her statement of wanting to exit the project, I started to go back to the recollection. I even flipped back a couple of the pages to try to get better understanding. So I just share that with you, Joey. So maybe you and her can have a coffee and just talk about, because at the end of the day, Joey, no matter how long it takes to negotiate a deal, we need to ensure that we get the best deal, value for money, that's in the best interest of the Cayman Islands. So if it takes 100 years, that's how long it takes, because we signed over lease lock land to the DART institution for freehold that should have been in the Cayman Islands sovereignty until our great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren had died. But yet we gave it away for freehold. But anyway, I'll leave you guys there. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you very much, caller, as well. We have another caller on hold, but I won't take the caller now. I'm going to read this message, go to the commercial break, take the caller, and we're going to make that caller the last one because we have to talk about the ECB report as well. So this person says, I am writing to express my concerns regarding the proposal for cutting fuel duty on fuel once again as a solution to relieve the general public from the cost of electricity. It seems that this proposal has been put forward repeatedly, almost as an annual tradition. However, I believe that this approach is not a long-term solution. It appears to be more of a temporary fix, akin to a Band-Aid, which ultimately shifts the financial burden back onto the people through other means. This recurring suggestion seems impractical and in my opinion, only serves to deplete government revenues without addressing the underlying issues of the persistently high cost of electricity. I firmly believe that we need to explore more effective and sustainable solutions that truly tackle the long-term challenges related to electricity costs. It's evident to me that simply cutting fuel duty is not the answer. The person says you can say my name if you like, Kerry Lawrence.
Well, he answered his own question there, and he's absolutely right. And this is why no one is advocating, because if you advocated to just cut the duty on fuel for good, then there'll be no motivation then to move to more renewable and energy, more renewable fuel and lower cost fuel, right? So you have to leave, and why it's become annual is, and listen, we're out there, we see that our people are struggling. You can't go to bed at night feeling comfortable when you have taken phone calls that there are elderly people or people with children that are sitting in the 90-something degree weather with no insulation in their roofs and all that sort of stuff with no electricity. So there are a lot of things we have to address. In our planning laws, we should be addressing or insisting that persons have proper insulation and use energy efficient things, that their homes are cooler, that when they do have electricity that they're saving money on it. But yes, a long-term goal is to have renewable energies that will be, in the long term, affordable and cost effective for our people. In the short term, and that is why it's every summer it comes up, in the short term, we have to help our people.
Yep. Okay, we're going to take that commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
July is Laundry Month at Brand Source Home Gallery. Get ready to save big with 15% off on all washers and dryers, both domestic and commercial, and 30% off on selected laundry items.
Is your washer or dryer on its last spin? Now's the time to upgrade. From GE, LG, Samsung, Beko, Electrolux to Frigidaire, save up to 30% on laundry appliances during the month of July.
Visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park or call 623-5000.
Check out brandsourcecayman.com for more deals. Voted Best Appliance Store of 2023.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. At Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
On behalf of the Port Authority of the Cayman Islands, the Ministry of Ports is hosting 2 public consultations to examine the options for the future expansion of the cargo port. This is your chance to share your views and shape our island's future. Join them on Wednesday, July 31st at the Vault, that's at the Compass Center, and Thursday, August 1st at the Church of God Chapel in Bodentown. Both meetings begin at 6:30 p.m. Can't make it? No worries. Participate through the online survey, which you can access on the Ministry's government page, or tune in live on Facebook. Your voice matters. Be part of the conversation and help build a better future for our Cayman Islands. For more details, visit gov.ky/tourism-transport or follow the Ministry of Tourism and Ports on Facebook and Instagram.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning. One last caller. We're going to take that caller. We're going to ask to be as brief as possible. Just want to cover one more topic, which is the rejection of the report of the Electoral Boundary Commission. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Connor.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to the leader of the opposition and the deputy leader there, and good morning to the listening public.
Morning, sir.
I just got a few questions, and I think with Mr. Elvis Matthew and Karen Bragg, hopefully we can get some answers for them.
Mm-hmm.
In relation now to the region project here, and obviously we know where that's at now. Mr. Hugh,
Yes, sir.
you are correct in saying, sir, that yes, we now have this issue where we have remediated certain portion of that dump, and that portion is the side facing Cayman Bay. The issue we're going to have going forward now, as to your point, if we have to use the remaining area as the tipping point, meaning where we're going to be dumping all the new garbage and all the like, then yes, we could have a situation, and likely will have a situation, where fires are going to break out. And the main thoroughfare now, being that the Harkwell bypass, is going to obviously be affected, as well as all of those persons living. Now, anyway, you have a fire in the dump, those people are still going to be affected. But my question to you in relation to this is that you all started this particular agreement here. You all were the founders of what we have now. Did you all take into consideration, or were involved in any of the planning stages to say, here, let's remediate this side first and not the side facing Cayman Bay? And the reason I'm saying that is, see, here we here in this country are always seemingly the last ones thought about until, oh my, it's politically correct to say this is going to have a greater effect on the people now. Because had that been the case, then we would have remediated the side that you spoke about this morning that isn't remediated. We would have put that in the contract to say this is what you have to do first. You see, we don't have a plan. See, Created the dark group, they got a plan. Then the Shadow Hospital would be going there, so lush green grass would look nice in that particular area. You cannot blame them. They got a vested interest to ensure that the side facing Cayman Bay is the first side you work on, because that's more important to them. But they were not the ones that started this agreement. We were the ones that started the project. We were the ones being the government that had to go ahead and ensure, right, that we did remediate the dump, that we talked about the possibility of waste to energy and so forth. So just answer that one question for me. Okay. Were you all involved at that stage?
Yes.
To ensure that the people weren't going to be disenfranchised?
Yeah,
Thank you very much, caller.
I can answer that quite easily. The caller was describing, first of all, there was a original dump tipping area on the southern end of the landfill that was remediated many years ago. And then the landfill that has been now remediated, that was the landfill we used until we got, it saw its life, the end of life, while we were in government, and after we signed selected the bidder, the DART consortium as a bidder for the preferred bidder for the integrated waste management system. Because that landfill came to the end of its useful life, the experts said to us that they were going to tip in a little haunch, which is on the Esteli-Tibbetts side on the southern end of the landfill. That was the one that was supposed to last us 2 to 5 years. So they went ahead and started the remediation of the old landfill, which that is completely covered now and is starting to turn green and stuff. Everything you see there now that hasn't been remediated is all new landfilling. And it started on the northern tip, which you can still see exposed. There's some vegetation there in front, but if you go to that intersection of the new airport by the new airport connector road, you can see it. And then it has now slowly spread to the south, heading south along Esla Tibbets. And it's continuing to spread that way. So they used up the little haunch, as we called it, and then they removed all the tires, the metal. Remember the tires and the metal and the debris from Ivan was all there along the Esla Tibbets. They cleared all of that, and that is where they're now filling. So to answer the question, answer the caller, what has been remediated and is now just about completely greened is the original landfill that came to the end of its useful life.
And it had been closed off.
And then we started tipping right on the haunch of that, they called it, still on the northern end of the landfill, right by the intersection where the airport connector road is. And I guess that filled up pretty quickly. And then now we're spreading south because of they've made available. Remember, there was a lot of trees there. They took all those trees out along there. And behind that was the tires, the scrap metal, and vegetation. A whole lot of vegetation from Hurricane Ivan that sat there, and there were concerns that it had asbestos in it and all that sort of stuff. So all of that has been cleared, and that is where they're filling now. So that is where they're getting the extension of life out of what we were told was 2 to 5 years, but it's now continuing to spread to the south.
And I would say too that with the with what's taking place there now, the actual mound that's being built up so close to the Esla Tibbets Highway, it's also much closer to Kamana Bay. You're less than maybe 200 yards away from the new hospital that's there.
That's right there.
But more concerning is the residential areas.
Yes. The night of the fire, I did not sleep. I stood out there on that bypass the entire night, and I witnessed the fire jump the fence, jump the road, and the mangroves between the roundabout and Lakeview. Caught on fire. Thankfully, there was a police car parked there, but it was not manned. Thankfully, the premier at the time, Sir Alden, was up on the mound. I think this was about 2:30 in the morning. He was up on the mound, and I called him, and they said, no, we got it under control. And so then I took a video of the fire and sent it to him, and the fire trucks came and out it quite quickly. As I said, that landfill is several hundred yards back. That fire is quite a distance away from the road compared to if this current landfill were to catch fire now. Okay. We would have I think we will have to have evacuations, etc. along that strip. Sorry.
That's okay. 1 minute for the ECB report.
That's about how long it'll take, though.
OC, we didn't see the motion that came before the House until that very time that day that it was
that morning
it was coming forth. But basically, from our perspective, OC, we truly believed it was too late to really pass these, accept it and implement. Because once you accept it, you have to implement.
Yeah.
All right, and we knew that it was going to be a huge challenge and present a lot of confusion for people to rewrite, redraw all those boundaries, not redraw, but to implement the new boundaries. Thousands upon thousands of voters affected by it.
So you didn't necessarily disagree with the substance, it was more the timing and anything else. Now,
we really didn't get around ourselves really debating the substance of the things, because there were things there that we didn't agree with. The simple one is the renaming of the of the constituents, like GT1 and stuff like that.
And that's merely cosmetics, semantics more than anything else.
What would have had to happen is if the acting premier they took the time to painstakingly explain the Constitution, etc. But what would have had to happen was once it was rejected then you need, as they did, they brought a motion, again, explaining and saying that they will ask for a new commission. If it were rejected, we would have still have, that is the time we would have, in the same sitting we took it to be, that you would have to then bring changes or recommendations. Since you rejected that report in its entirety, you would then bring recommendations for what you would recommend. So you could say we recommend taking out the naming or leaving the naming the same. We recommend not going to the additional districts, etc. But for us, we were waiting, we anticipating what would happen. We were then took the time to be informed on the practicalities of it. We spoke with the supervisor, and it became very clear to us that it would be, if they could actually implement the new boundaries recommendations, it would be very difficult. And if done so, it'd be a logistics nightmare, and cause a lot of voter confusion. Some voters, some persons, some constituents would be completely different, a whole new constituency. So for those reasons, that, and with the limitations, with the restrictions ability to debate per se and make changes because of the Constitution, this is where we were. This is the option.
And was there a reason for not debating it? Because your leader of the opposition, made the remarks, but we didn't get any debate from anyone. Again, did that have to do with the fact that receipt of the motion itself had only been made that morning?
There's that, and quite frankly, after consulting with Mr. Howell and others, we had there was no other option. And I think it's just something way too important to play politics with. And that,
Okay, accepted, gentlemen. I think you all want an opportunity for some closing comments as well.
Go ahead. Sure, I'll start with. I want to first start with congratulating our Olympic athletes thus far, the Crooks siblings, Jordan and Jillian. You guys so far have made us so proud. So many of us were glued to our TVs. It's very little that'll get people out of their bed at 3:30 in the morning in Cayman, and everybody I spoke to was out of their beds to watch them, and they so far have made us so proud. We're looking forward to Jordan continuing his journey. But he's already made us super proud. Charlotte Webster, our sailor, how fitting, for us, the Cayman Islands, to have a sailor in the Olympics with our seafaring heritage. We look forward to her and wishing her all the best. And Devontae Howell, on the 3rd, he'll be competing as well. And I know everybody's going to get up out of bed at 3:30 in the morning again to watch Devontae as well. So wishing them well, and just saying to them, you've already made us proud, and hope they're having fun and have and soaking in all that the Olympics has to offer. I want to wish a happy birthday tomorrow to my good friend Clarky, we call him, Mr. Leaford Sr. His birthday is tomorrow. I want to wish him a happy birthday. And on Saturday, Miss Bonnie McFarlane, I'd like to also wish her a happy birthday when that comes on Saturday.
Okay.
Just add 2 more birthdays, near and dear to my heart, OC, and just want to wish my daughters a happy birthday. Yesterday was my daughter Jodie's birthday, and this coming Sunday is my eldest daughter Jessica's birthday. So they want to shout out for them, and just wish everyone too a good day. Thank you again for hosting us, and it's been intriguing conversation, very engaging conversation today with you and the people that called. Thanks for doing that. And see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Excellent. And those conversations show that we can civilly debate issues. If there are differences, we hear each other out. At the end of the day, we listen, and sometimes we agree to disagree, but then we move on as well. Folks, we're way over the time. I just want to say to you, have a great day. Join Sterling Drainey Banks at 12:15 for talk today, and as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these 3 beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice.
If they are talking about us,
living in your head rent-free all this time,
we must be relevant. Radio Cayman, since